Hi guys, and welcome back to Airgun Evolution. In the last video I showed you guys how to make this scope cam mount, my scope cam mount. And in this video I'm going to show you how to put it on the gun and adjust it properly for your camera stuff. Me talk words good? Hi guys, and welcome back to Airgun Evolution. In part 1 you saw me make this scope cam mount right here, my scope cam mount. And in this video I'm going to show you how to set it up so your camera is properly aligned looking through your scope. And you probably already figured out how to do it by now. It's really easy, but I'm going to show you just to make sure. And to say I've made a few of these is an understatement. They're so cheap and easy to make, I just make one for each gun, set it up and align it properly for that gun and that scope, and then I just leave it on the gun. So this is normally how I have my scope camera mount set up. The camera looks over the top of the mount, and you can see it clears the screw heads, and it looks through the scope with the quick release latch on the other side of the mount. And for whatever reason on my Bulldog I have it set up like this. I don't remember why I have it set up like this, but I know it was for some reason. And that's the beauty of this scope camera mount, is it allows you to set it up in different configurations. So we're going to be setting up the scope cam mount that we made in the last video for our gun here. And it's really easy, like I said, simple stuff. The big reason I like to use the nylon flathead screws is because you can use any coin to tighten or loosen them. And that's just really handy when you're in the field. Just have that freedom just to reach in your pocket, pull out a coin or the tip of your knife and just tighten it and loosen it. You don't have to carry a screwdriver with you. Okay, to start off, open our scope caps up. And we're going to take the original mount on this gun off. Funny thing is, remember how I said when you cut these, cut them slow so you don't heat up the springs inside? I just took this off, and if you look right here, there's part of the spring right there that I actually melted from cutting through it too fast. Now normally, this is how the mount would go on the gun, and the camera would sit right there. The problem with that is if we set it up like that right now, our camera lens is going to hit our bolt tops. So to get around this, we're going to undo our mount here. Take it off. Take our washers off. Take these off as well. So this is how the mount was. All you're going to want to do is flip it this way. So now we can set it up and have our camera looking through there. We can set our height without these interfering. I'm just gonna put a nut down on each of these. The next step is to mount your camera. So take your camera mounting bolt, pop it up in. I like to flip my camera upside down for this bit. It just makes holding everything easier. And snug it up, and then click it on the gun. The camera can be loose at this point. It doesn't have to be rock solid tight. There we go. If we turn our camera on right now, you're going to see it's really poorly aligned. You can barely see through it. And if you come around to the side, you can kind of see that the camera has to be raised up just a bit to be even to look through our scope. What I'm going to do now is take these nuts off, start adding my washers on to adjust my height. You just keep adding one at a time and then checking to see if it lines up. And you can actually I'm tightening these down because it does make a difference. And I was pressing on here, I was getting just a little play with the mount on the rail, so I tightened my adjustment screw on the side and now it's solid. Now I get no play with it at all. And to be honest with you, that is looking almost even. I can't tell if it needs to go up one or if it's good right where it is. Let me turn it on and see. Okay, I think I'm really happy with my height set at one washer. What I'm going to do now is take it back off, undo my camera, flip the mount around. Now that I have my height set, I'm going to trim my bolts down. So I just trimmed my bolts down, and I did it off camera, because I don't need 1,000 comments saying why you're using an angle grinder in your living room. Because I can, that's why. And what I like to do is just set it down, and the camera is gonna clear that easy with plenty of space. So go ahead and put your camera back on in whatever configuration you want your scope cam mount to be in. And the next thing you want to set up is your distance, how far away you want your camera to actually be from your scope. This is a real easy process. Now we're going to set the distance between the end of the lens of your camera and the beginning of your scope. You're not going to want them pressed right up next to each other. Generally, you're going to want about that much room between the two. And if you don't have tons of Picatinny rail, one modification you can make to the mount is to do something like this, and that can allow you to adjust your distance between the camera and the scope. You're going to want your zoom all the way out on your camera. You don't want it zoomed in at all. You want it zoomed all the way out. This is with the mount as close to the scope as I can get it, and that's not what you want. You set the camera back down and adjust it back some. This is with it back too. Still not enough, still not far enough back. You can see how the point you're seeing, this is the entire scope. What you want is you want the entire scope filled with your reticle and this little light circle here. It's like you're adjusting your eye relief, but you're adjusting it for the camera. So I've just adjusted it 2 more back, and you can see this is perfect. I've got the entire viewing area of the scope completely full. So that is my distance right there. So now I like to go ahead and zoom my camera in. And I like to zoom mine in to 110 millimeters. Anywhere between 99 and 110 is where I like to keep mine. And you'll notice it went hazy again. What I do now is I move it back in towards the scope. That's 1 more in. It's getting a little clear. 1 more in, and that's perfectly clear right there. And for me, with my camera zoomed into 110 millimeters, it is about 1.5 inches distance between the end of my lens and the beginning of my scope. Now, my best advice for centering the camera to look through the scope is once it's on, you just move it back and forth. You can see how I'm moving it slightly back and forth. When it's the brightest, that's where you want to stop. When you have the sharpest black outline, that's also where you want to stop. If I go one way or another, you can see it gets a little fuzzy. Then I can also turn and tilt my camera like this to make sure it's perfectly lined up. When I move it back and forth, how it'll get nice and bright. If I go too far one way, it'll get darker. And then once I got it where it's the brightest, I can turn the camera to get it nice and centered. And in the end, when it's all perfectly lined up, you're looking for something about like that. I mean, we can even goose it over and get it just a bit more perfect right there. Everything's nice and level, everything's bright and clear. Well guys, that's how you adjust the scope mount and the camera for filming. And if you try this, let me know, because I am super excited to see the videos you guys make. So the last step in this process is to paint this. I like to use like a flat black paint, get rid of that nice shiny surface. You could do camouflage paint, you know, a few light coats of spray paint, or just hose the thing right down. Either way, it gets painted. Also, I'm planning 2 more parts to the series, tips and tricks to actually set your camera up for the best filming you can get. And the second is different ways you can mount these mounts on different guns for filming. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Alright guys, later.
They wanna rush in, cause a stampede. No handles, flying like a banshee. They use cheat codes, but we don't cheat though. No cliff notes, homie, we don't need those. Come on, and just take the high road. I'm trying to fly though, wanna touch the sky, but still lie low. Never water down, even with the hydro. Vaporize the hate so I don't have to keep my eyes low. Hit